Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on my channel and watching this video. Don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button so that you can see more. Today's topic, we are going to discuss what it truly means to be a sea witch. There's a lot of different ideals out there about what a sea witch is, what he or she isn't, and I kind of really want to focus today's video a lot on that. Now in my previous video I did kind of go over just a little minor explanation of it, at least what the major difference is and what people kind of get wrong about it. Today's video is going to kind of be a little of the same, but we are primarily focusing on, the heavy influences and what it really means to be a sea witch. So to get started, I know in the last video I went over, just to recap, that a sea witch is not just a witch that works with water, like the ocean. A sea witch's primary focus is, of course, the sea, the sand, the seashells, all of the creatures that inhabit the ocean, whether that's turtles and dolphins and whales, and even the predators like sharks, and even the little, phytoplankton and the shrimp. Every bit of it we work with. But we also work with merfolk and sea nymphs and spirits of the sea and that kind of thing. We also incorporate all of the elements into our practice. We don't just use the water because we understand that the sun warms the ocean. It brings us the light and the life of the sea. And then you have the sand and the seashells. Seashells are, to me, especially biologically, they are actually a combination of earth and sea. Seashells are actually not just pretty little things that washed up on the beach. They are homes to a lot of the animals that live below. So they are all encompassed in our practice. Whether you forage them fresh or you buy them from, a store or whatever, we use those. The wind obviously is the air, it carries the breeze, it carries the storms across the sea. And then obviously, like I said, the sand, the seashells, that's earth. So, and then the spirits of the sea as well, all those who have passed on, the ancestors who are still lingering, all of the animals that are still there and still very much a part of the sea. We use every bit of that in our practice. And it goes a little bit farther than just using the water of the ocean. There's a lot more to it. So what it truly means to be a sea witch is a bit different than most people think. Now, when I think of a sea witch, if you Google a sea witch, you will get the typical sea hag, Ursula, villain. You will get a sea doctor, somebody, again, who uses the ocean primarily in their practice. However, again, that's not the case. So we do use the ocean. That is, again, our primary focus. I know I say that a lot, but it's the truth. It is what we are. It's in our name, sea witch. But it means being connected to something on a whole other level. When I discovered and put a name to my practice, this was just back late December, early January that I discovered this, and I've been a practitioner for almost 13 years, and I've always been eclectic and kind of taken from every little path, and I mean I still do that, I do, but now I have a name I choose personally to put a title to my practice. So one of the biggest things about sea witches is that it is a primarily solitary practice. So you will not find a lot of covens. They are out there. There are, numerous sea witch covens, but it is primarily a solitary practice because of the connection aspect of it. Your connection to the sea is going to be different than mine. Mine's different than yours and theirs and theirs. It's completely and entirely a personal experience, a very personal journey as well. And even if you are in a group or coven setting, as a group, all of you could do a ritual and invoke the, goddess of your choice or god, and every one of you will have a different experience. Everybody's connection is entirely different. It's yours. It's very, very personal. So in that aspect, sea witches are a very solitary practitioner. It's also not something that I would highly recommend for beginners, at least not practice-wise. If you want to learn how to be a sea witch, there are actually a couple really, really good books that I can recommend. I will leave them down in the description below. That kind of helped me get a more solid understanding. Growing up in Florida, in sunny beaches and stuff, I already had, that connection to the sea. I already understood what it meant, but it may not be easier for somebody that grew up in the mountains or grew up in the city life. You may not understand that. So these books helped me tremendously on really grasping that and understanding, even though I already had an understanding of it. So yeah, those will be in the description below. I don't think they're very expensive, but you'll have to look and see, what your Amazon says. Anyway, so I don't recommend this for beginners in the sense that the ocean's energy is powerful. It's an extremely powerful source, especially if you are brand new to magic in general. If you are just freshly starting out, now having that connection to the ocean, having that wanting to go home kind of sense and feel, yeah, absolutely, look into it, delve into it, but just be mindful that the energy and the spirits and the animals that you are working with are very powerful. The ocean can be calm and serene and peaceful, and then it can be angry and destructive and chaotic, and it's just a very, very powerful energy. There's no other way to explain that. Now, there are a lot of times where you can work with things other than seawater. You can make your own seawater if you don't have easy access to it. I make my own. I usually do about a 2-to-1 ratio. I do like 2 cups water to like a tablespoon of salt. And then you just mix it all together. I kind of let mine sit. You can boil yours off if you want to, if you're afraid of bacteria or anything, but I use mine rather quickly, so I don't really have to worry about that. But anyway, a lot of people assume that a sea witch will use all bodies of water, but that's confusing us with a water witch. A water witch uses excuse me. A water witch uses all bodies of water. Their primary and only focus is water itself. All of the water nymphs, the water spirits, the sprites, the fae, everything to encompass the ideas of water itself. Sea witches are more of like, sea, you have the ocean in the middle, and then you have everything else that goes along with it all around in your circle, that you are just continuously accessing, you're continuously using. So yes, lakes and rivers and streams and creeks do lead eventually to the ocean. So we may use those, especially if you are somebody that doesn't have easy access to the ocean, but you have access to a creek. You may go and collect water from there. But it is not a source of the ocean, if that makes sense. So the energies and the vibes and the feelings and the connections are going to be different. Plus, ocean spirits and river spirits are two different things. They don't really go together too much. Spirits are spirits. So if you choose to work with one of those, or either or both, and you have a solid understanding of what you're doing, have at it. By all means, do what you got to do. But just be mindful, that the ocean spirits are different. That's all there is to it. Sea witches as a practice are entirely different. And a lot of people get that wrong. They get the misconception that, we just work with water and we work with the ocean primarily. Do you know how big the ocean is? Do you know how much of our earth it encompasses? A lot. So to say that we just work with water, that we just work with the ocean spirits, that's kind of putting your own foot in your mouth, just to be honest there. But reverting back to what I was saying, it means a lot to be a sea witch. It's a lot of personal growth. It's a lot of personal experience, and a lot of your own solitary research, and Google is your best friend. This is for anybody that is new or even experienced. You know this. Experienced practitioners know and understand that books, websites, Google itself that will lead you to a website, any helpful forums that aren't full of fluff, your research and your own reading is the best guidance, the best mentor. No one else can make you understand something. So I could sit here and explain to you all of what I am saying about being a sea witch, but you will not know the true experience until you go to that ocean and you go connect with it. Your experience will be entirely different than me sitting here blabbing my mouth to you. So go out there, go to the shores, go to the beach, and say hello. Because guess what? The ocean loves you.